Okay. Can anyone see my screen? Feel free to say yes.
I'm on a phone line, so I'm not on a...
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. Anybody on a computer? It'd probably help if you're near a computer, but again, I'll record it and send out a link to the department chairs, and they should be able to get it to you. But if you have the documents available, that might help too. Otherwise, just hearing it might be a little bit confusing, but I'll try to talk through it as much as possible.
You got a cold, Amber?
No, I'm a little just nasally in general. I apologize.
Sound a little under the weather, working too hard.
No, I'm feeling great. I just have a little allergies, I think. So I think I'm okay. I'll survive. All right. So the first thing that I want to show you guys is the new SIPR form. So it was kind of formally the SIR, which was the Student Inactivity Report. Now it's the SIPR, which includes the P for progress. And we're going to actually do this for both academies. So formally it was only done for Adoptions Academy. Now it'll be done for both Adoptions and Plato academies. I just want to make sure. All right, sorry about that. So one thing that you'll notice, and really the format is probably the most important part, at least for the department chairs, as we're actually going through and dropping students or reaching out to students. And so that if you can adhere to the format, that would make our job so much easier. And the first thing that you'll see in the first column is just to identify the academy. So either put EOA if it's an adoptions course, or PVA for a Plato course. And then have the student's name, last name first, separated by a comma, and then the first name. And then the course title exactly as it appears. And so copying and pasting this is really helpful. Sometimes I have teachers that instead of writing algebra with 2 I's, that it becomes algebra to the numeral 2. And that can sometimes cause a little bit of problems as far as searching for those students by that course. There's a new column that is the date of the last completed assignment. So we'll want to make sure that we put in a date or not started if the student hasn't started the course yet.
Hey, Amberly.
Yeah.
This is Greg. I just want to see, are you monitoring the questions that are being typed in, or do you want me to tell them to you as they come in?
Sure, that'd be great if you could tell them. So yeah, I did see that. I did see that one, and we can do EOA and PVA on the same template. I think that's fine because we can sort through those easily.
Okay.
So include the date, and then include whether or not you sent an inactivity email. So if it's an inactive student, there's really only one answer. The answer is yes, I sent the email. So make sure that you're doing that and sending it through Grad rather than sending it through StarSuite on EOA and sending it through Genius for PVA. And if a student, regardless, if a student is inactive, or I'm sorry, is below a 72%, we'll want to make sure that we include their course grade and whether or not we sent a progress email and which email we sent. So in your list of attachments that we sent you quite a few items, but there's 4 different emails for progress, and you can indicate which one you sent, 1, 2, 3, or 4. And I'll kind of go over those in a little bit. The other thing on the form is, again, we're marking inactivity by 2 weeks. So any student that hasn't completed an assignment within the last 2 weeks, we want to make sure that we catch them. And so I just kind of put in here, so this date for today's date should always show up. for you. So no matter if it's in December, the state should read December. Once you open that, it should be whatever the date is on the day that you open the file. And then the 2 weeks prior, we'll calculate 14 days behind that. So you can kind of have a reference that that date was before that date. If you're like me and our calendar challenge, it should help you. If not, then you're okay. So that's the new form. I am getting a little bit of background noise, if you don't mind muting your phones. Sounds like a party. If you're having a party without us.
Same thing, Amberly.
All right. I do not actually want to close this. We're going to come back to this in a little bit. So as far as doing this on Ed Options, I'm going to go through the Ed Options Academy first. I'm going to go kind of quickly just because most of you are probably pretty familiar with that. We'll spend a little bit more time on the Plato side and get through that in a little bit. So
Hey, Amberly,
yes.
I know it's hard to hear. We have one question, and that is, this is from Joyce, and Joyce says, we report 2 weeks of inactivity?
Yes.
The email stated 1 week.
Yes, it did. And we actually want to do 2 weeks. There's a lot of background noise, if you don't mind muting your phone. If there's some things going on. Maybe somebody okay, there we go. Perfect. Thank you.
There we go. Somebody caught it.
Perfect. Yes, the email did state 1 week. We were originally, our contracts have actually changed with our schools, and so we're actually dropping students at the 2 week mark. So originally we were thinking we wanted to have folks, have the teachers create the SIR 1 week out, but then we realized that that was just going to be a lot of students and probably a lot more headaches as far as students being out for a week and then coming back and getting on board and then really not needing to be dropped, and we didn't want to drop them too early. So we just decided to stick with 2 weeks, and we kind of drop them as soon as possible after that 2 weeks. So I will send out a new form that says 2 weeks. So yes, we're going to stick with that. So I apologize for the confusion on that one. Did I answer both parts of that question? I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, perfect. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to look for inactive students. And this, you need to, again, go through every course on your list. So I'm going to start here at the top and go all the way down to the bottom and look through each course to make sure that I'm catching all my students. For sake of time, because you'll probably be bored if I do that for all my students, I'm just going to go to this one particular course that I know has a good sampling of problem children. That's probably a little harsh, but they're all right. This student is actually, you'll want to click through each student on the roster, and then when you get to the roster page, you want to go to progress. And what you'll notice, there was a timestamp on that roster, but that timestamp's not always correct as far as the last completed assignment. It's just the last time the student was actually in the program. So they could have completed something, started working on something else, and then haven't come back to it and actually completed it. So we want to look at the last completed assignment. And so if we scroll down, we can see here this student last completed something on January 5th. Now, this is a student that goes to a school that we actually don't drop the students from, so that's why he's still on this roster. Otherwise, he would be long gone from now. And in fact, I'll probably email them, but I wanted to use it as an example because I thought it was a pretty good one. So this student would make it onto the SIR. So it's really, again, important that you drill down all the way to the roster level so that we can see this last completed assignment rather than just the last time they were in the program. And, oh, good. I thought I
Amberly, while you're doing that, a couple of questions, or I'll let you do this.
Sure.
Okay, first, from Rachel, she said, do we need to start our week on Monday since the SIR is not due until Wednesday, or do we go Wednesday to Wednesday?
So actually the class week starts on a Saturday and ends on a Friday. So anytime after the class week ends, so on Friday night at midnight, you can start your SIR. So that means most of the time I start getting them by Saturday morning, Saturday mid-morning, all the way up until Wednesday. And so they're due by Wednesday night.
Okay, and the next question is, do we still send the student a reminder email when they've been inactive for 1 week?
Yes. And there's not a template for that. That can be a little bit more informal. Hey, John, I've noticed you haven't been in class this week. Let's work on getting something completed this week so that you're not inactive. Something simple to the point. If you kind of want to make up your own template that you use regularly, that's totally fine. But it doesn't need to be anything real formal or anything like that at that point. So notice that John was our student that was inactive. Put his last name, first name, and then his course, and the date of the last completed assignment, and then mention that I created the inactivity email. So that inactivity email again goes through grad, and let's see if I can even find him in here. Probably I can't because who knows why I can't. Anyhow, you would come into grad, and let's just pretend it's Carl for today. And then just send him an email, check the guardian, check the affiliate, inactivity, and then copy and paste that template and send. And that's all you need to do there. But do make sure that that goes in grad. I look at that. All the department chairs look at that before we actually drop the student. We want to make sure that they were notified, that their parent was notified, and that they had the opportunity to get back on track before they were dropped. All right. So let's keep going down this list, and then we'll notice that Kyle. Now, with the progress report, we did say on there that we want to look at students that are 72% or lower. I want to leave the 72% as an absolute yes. Anybody under 72% does need to be on that form. But you could also include other people that you might be just a little bit worried about. So I'm a little bit worried about Kyle. He's at 74%, so he could be in jeopardy at some point. And so we go look at Kyle. And really, you don't need to drill down too much on this one, but I just kind of like to look at where they are, whether or not they've taken their midterm yet, how many assignments they've completed. If they've only completed one assignment, maybe he's not quite in jeopardy, but if he's, getting closer to the end, maybe he's a little bit more at risk for not completing the course. But really on these, you can kind of really just glance at the average here on the roster and then just add him to the list. So I looked at his last completed assignment. It's on October 8th. And again, you find that on the, what section is that? Sorry. So it's on the roster when you go to the progress tab. I don't know why I forgot that. Oh, and it looks like he actually did some work today. So that wasn't complete when I did this earlier. This was submission 5 was his last completed one earlier today. Okay. And then I sent him an email because I thought he was getting a little risky. Because if you look in grad, he actually has a 69%. And so that's kind of where we want to catch the students, is kind of before they really dip down below that 70% mark. So the 72% isn't a hard and fast rule, but it's definitely, if they're at that level, especially in stars, we want to make sure that we catch them. All right. Let me see if I can show you his grade real quick, if I can find him. I will admit I'm not a fan of the list here. There he is. Okay. So you'll notice in this particular class he has a 69.57. So that definitely warrants a progress email, and so we need to start intervening with this student. All right. So that's basically on the ed options side. Oh, let me go through Zachary real quick and show you the not started. So we also want to catch students who haven't started their course yet. So you'll go into a course.
Hey, question, Amberly.
Sure.
Question, if students have been inactive and have a low percentage, do we put them both down on the SIPR?
Yes, exactly. So they should have all 4 fields filled out if it's a progress report week. So again, every other week is a progress report week, but every week you do the inactivity report. And then we'll send out a schedule of that every month as far as which ones are due when. But this week, as far as Wednesday goes, the Wednesday due date this week, the 10th, it's inactivity. Next week will be inactivity in progress. The following week, inactivity, then inactivity in progress. So every other week. So if it's one of those weeks, you have a student that meets both of those criteria, they're inactive and at risk, then we want to make sure that we fill in all 4 columns here. Great question. Let's see. And then so Zachary's not started, so we want to make sure that we're catching any students that have not started the course. And this is why it's really important to go into each individual course, because in grad, they may not show up as not started, or they might not show up if you do one of the reports or something. If you're looking somewhere else in STARS, you might not see them. So just going here to this page, you want to look at, on the dashboard, you want to look at the enrolled date. The student was just enrolled on Wednesday, so he's really not inactive yet. I might want to send him a friendly email through STARS just saying, hey, I noticed you haven't started your class yet. Let me know if you need any help, something like that. But as far as actually going on the inactivity report, until when it's been more than 2 weeks, then that's when we'll put him on the activity report. So this student's in good shape so far, but we'll see how long that lasts. All right.
Oh.
So do we have any questions on the ed options side?
There's been no additional questions.
No additional questions. Perfect. Okay. And then just to go over the intervention process for struggling students. So each of you should have received this document. The first step is email number 1 that you guys received in the package. And so the teacher's going to send the student an email recommending that they do some submissions or mastery exams for PBA, and anything below a 70 they'd want to retake. So we're just kind of reaching out to them, say, hey, is there anything you want to redo? Let me know. There's some crazy background noise. Sounds like a motorcycle or something.
Yeah.
Something wild going on. All right. And then step 2, the teacher will send out progress email number 2 that includes helpful study techniques. And we'll ask them which techniques they might benefit from most and that they might be willing to try. Then step 3, the teacher sends a progress email that includes a survey with targeted questions designed to uncover key areas of difficulty. So we actually created a survey on SurveyMonkey that the students can go through. It's only 9 questions. Hopefully shouldn't take them too long. And then based on that response, the department chairs will actually email them some strategies. And then step 4, the teacher will email the parent or guardian, and there's a templated email for that as well, to discuss their progress. And then step 5, the department chair will call the parent or guardian to discuss progress, and then also send those targeted solutions that I just mentioned. So that's kind of the intervention process, and that goes for both EOA and PVA. It's the same process in both academies. So now we'll go through the Plato side, and I'm already logged out. How did that happen? I feel like I get logged out every minute. Okay.
Emily, what would be the process like? The students that get started and don't really, for whatever reason, at the beginning are just 20%, 30%, 40%, reset them, and still like 50%, 40%. And there's a bunch of that, and their average is low. I mean, after we send these interventions and stuff to them, what are we expecting to see after that?
Well, I mean, ideally, we'd like to see an increase, but as far as getting their parents involved, because these students may need some additional support, whether that's reaching out through some of our tutors, or if it's on the Plato side, reaching out through the teachers through Skype, or just finding some other resources that might help benefit these students a little bit. So that's kind of our aim goal, is really to identify them and hopefully intervene at appropriate points so that we can affect change with them. That's our goal. I know it is tough to reach every single student in a way, especially in an online setting, but we're going to do the best we can. So I hope that answers your question. So let's talk real quickly about the Plato side. So really what you would want to do, you've got your list of students here. You want to go through each student. And I've already kind of picked out a few students that I want to talk about, but go through each particular student, and we want to make sure that we are selecting the student. The student has started the course, so in this case that's true, and then we want to look to the gradebook on the left. So this is not the same brown gradebook. This is the gradebook within Genius. So we'll scroll down here, look at the gradebook, and you can see this particular student has 100%. And if you notice at the top, he's enrolled in 2 different classes. So your class may not be first. So if you're his biology teacher, you would need to actually scroll using the green arrows to the biology course. If you're his algebra teacher, it would be on the first page. Math is not always first, biology is not always first, so you just it just depends on which course they were enrolled in first on how that appears. So you really do want to be a little bit careful that you're not just scrolling down this one and that you kind of recognize some of the words like exponents if you're a math teacher, something like that. So you would just scroll down this and look for a date, for the last date. And I think this one was, it looks like the 18th. Hopefully that's what I wrote down. Okay, good, it is. So again, and here we copied the entire course number. So it's not just Algebra 1 Semester A, but it includes the state and the school that he's in, the code of the school that he's in. And so the student again started on the 18th. That's before the 24th, which was 2 weeks ago. So he should get an inactivity email. And again, I hope everybody's familiar with the way that emails are sent in Genius, but you just click on send an email, type in the subject line, copy guardian, copy affiliation, copy and paste the templated email in there, and then hit send.
So do we have to copy and paste in that one, or is that set up in a template right there above top?
It's not set up in the template yet. I kind of wanted to get us started on this for a little bit just to make sure we didn't find any typos or anything that needed to be changed. Once we kind of feel real comfortable with it, I do want to add it to the templates and then make your lives a little bit easier. So when that happens, you can just come here, pick a template from the drop down, and then it will automatically fill in there. So, but for now, until we can get everything, all the little kinks ironed out, if you wouldn't mind doing that, that would be really great. So that's one particular, so that's a student who started his course and is inactive. And let's see who my other guys are. Travian. All right. Now we're actually having a bit of an issue with this particular school, but it actually helps out quite a bit because he has not started his program, and he started more than 2 weeks ago. So he started on September 10th, and the 0 represents that he really hasn't started his course. So he can just be added on there. He's just an inactive student that hasn't started. We're just going to plug him right into the form, and we're good to go with him. And we can find Ryan here. So Ryan has started his course. In his math course, he's struggling a little bit. So we definitely want to start the intervention process with him. And you can also, so you can also look student by student for those. And if you're going in student by student looking at inactivity, it might be just as easy just to do it that way. But you can also search enrollments and click the grade between 0 and 70, get data, and this actually shows all the math teachers, but if I put my name in there, it'll filter them by teacher. So this will be all the students who have between a 0 and 70%. Again, we're having a little problem with this particular Michigan school, but so there's quite a few of them in that boat. But we'll get that fixed really quickly, probably this week. But so there's just a couple people that are actually below that 70%. So we want to make sure that they make it onto the progress report during that progress report week. So there are 5 intervention steps. Doesn't necessarily mean that they need to be completed over a 10-week course. That might be a little bit too long for those students. So we'll kind of leave that up to your professional judgment as far as how often to reach out to those students. You can do it up to 10 weeks, but you could also do it a little bit sooner if you feel like they're making a little bit of progress, but maybe not, they're in there working every day, but maybe they're not putting in the full effort or getting the results that they really need to be getting. So you can kind of play with the timing on that a little bit, but at a minimum, we want to see it at the 10-week mark for the entire intervention process. So I think that is all that I have as far as the process and the form itself and kind of how to actually do the report itself. And everyone should have all the templated emails. And I can't think of anything else. Are there other questions?
What about the survey that you talked about, Amberly? Where do we send that out?
So teachers would send that out, and it's in one of, I think it's in email 3, yes. So there's a link to it right here. And I'll just click on it. Hopefully y'all can see it. And so this is just instructions for the students. And then here's the survey questions. So when I want to reattempt a test or assignment, I retake it as soon as possible, spend time rereading, review and rework missed items, or ask a teacher questions about things you don't understand. So there's a number of different questions that are formatted similarly. And if you'd like, you can go in and look at the survey by clicking on that third email template, and you can spend some time kind of looking at the questions and things like that. For each question, the department chairs and we are creating like a one-pager of resources and ideas and tips that will kind of help that student if let's say they just marked retake it as soon as possible. Hopefully that's an obvious worse answer than the others. So we want to intervene with that study practice and possibly help redirect them into some more successful techniques. So that's kind of
as their teacher, if I wanted to see what their results were, what their comments were, is it possible for me to see that, or how would I?
Yeah. So those results will go to the department chair. If you'd like to see those results, just send a quick email to your department chair, and they should be able to send them to you.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
So for this inactivity report, we're reporting every 2 weeks when they've been inactive for 2 weeks, and then you're going to automatically drop them when you see that their name on the report.
Right. So when the teachers email their department chairs their inactivity report, we'll go through, look at them in whichever program. So whether it's STARS and Grad or Genius and PLE, we'll go through and kind of look at the student, make sure that they haven't started working since you sent that form or the emails, either one. And then if they've started working, we're going to let them continue working. If they haven't started working, then we'll go ahead and drop them. Reinstating them isn't too tough of a process. So if they call us and need to be reinstated, they get back into the same course. They get back at the same place that they left off. But we're letting them know that they need to take this a little bit more seriously by dropping them.
So we're going to be getting a lot of re-enrollment emails and all that. Dropped and re-enrolled.
I would say probably not more than you already do, because right now we're dropping students right about the 3-week mark. So if we're sending an email at 1 week and then again at 2 weeks, and this new email, the 2-week template, is a little bit maybe more assertive than what some people are sending. So that should hopefully light the fire and get them moving, and get them back into class before they actually get dropped. And I know for me, like, I usually get all of so some people will send me their reports on Saturdays, but I'll wait until I have all of them on Wednesdays, and a lot of times I don't do it till Friday afternoon. So it gives them a little time from when they've gotten their email to get back on track before they actually get dropped. So hopefully you shouldn't see any more than normal. If you're on the Plato side, you might see quite a few drops in the beginning if you have a number of students in that boat, just because we haven't done this on the Plato side yet, and it'll be a little bit of clearing out any students who have been inactive for a long time. Maybe some of the summer students are still on the roster, so cleaning some of those out. But I don't anticipate students who have been out for longer than 3 or 4 weeks to maybe come back and finish their course, but they might.
Now, are most of these kids in the classes in a classroom at a school? Or I know that some of the classes, like on EdOps, if they are EOA, some of them are homeschool and stuff, but if they have a course prefix that's not EOA, they're reporting to a classroom somewhere to do this?
Generally, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we do not have any PVA independent students.
Right.
I'm sorry, say that again?
We do not have any independent or full-time PVA students. They're all EOA.
Yeah, so anybody taking a Plato course is actually going to a campus in a computer lab setting and taking a course there.
And in those classrooms, they have teachers there with them as well, obviously.
They do. They're generally more
be helping them with stuff if they needed help.
Possibly, yes. So it could be somebody who is what they might call a lab teacher. but
Yeah.
it could be a history teacher and the student's taking a math course. So that history teacher might not be as well versed with the math concepts as they would need to be to maybe help that student a little bit more, but potentially, yes. All right. Are there any other questions?
And there's none on, there's no more IM questions. Oh, wait,
Okay.
Anthony's typing a question. Hold on
Okay.
1 second.
All right. We'll wait.
He said, thanks for the training, as did Brian.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome. All right. That is all that I have for you guys. I'm going to let you guys go and get to your families, grading homework, whatever you got going on tonight. But I do appreciate your time. I hope you found this helpful or otherwise useful. And we hope to see you guys
We
using
just appreciate all that you're doing.
Amberly?
Yes.
Yeah, when did you say you're going to post the video link?
Yes, I will post that probably tomorrow.
Did you send it now?
Yes, and I'll send it out to the department chairs and to any math teachers as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure, no problem.
You've got lots of thank yous, Amberly, so you have to take that yourself.
No, very welcome. All right, you guys have a great day. Feel free to drop off the line. If anybody has any extra questions, I'll kind of stay on just a couple minutes until most people drop off. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
The inactivity email, Amberly.
Yes.
When we put them on the